Hi, how are you? I thought that I sit down and film a bit about what I have been up to for the past week. Me and my husband, we were in Barcelona because we both turned 50 during this same week. We are born in, he's in 21st and I'm in 26th at the same year. So we both turned 50. So it's 100 in total, 100 years of life experience, like I told to my children when they ask, how do you know? Well, that's how I know. Well, we first thought that if we should have some kind of party, because I remember then when my mother turned 50, there was a quite big party. All the relatives were invited and her friends and the local people, and there was something about 50 people in our house, which was booked because it's not a very big house. But there was representatives of her work that gave her flags and the kind of plates that said this and that and in the honor of this and that, and something from her hobbies. And it was somehow very pompous and people were giving speeches. But that's not me. I can't do that. I do not do well in the center of attention. I don't like that. It makes me feel awkward. My husband maybe could have had those kind of parties. He can be the center of attention and he has the ability to do that. But he didn't want to. Or I don't know if he just said that to humor me and to escape with me to have our birthdays in Barcelona. Barcelona is in the north part of Spain, in Catalonia area. We have been in Barcelona before. It's a very nice city. And that's partly why we decided to go there, because we know the town already. We both have been sick for the beginning of this year. It's March in 19... No, well, it's March in 2024. I don't have a memory relapse. But anyway, we have been in COVID, I don't know what, number 6 or number 5 in the beginning of this year, and it has been very tiring version. So I think that when the working day was in a half, I was already exhausted and wanted to go home and get the sleep. My husband was very tired also, and all our kids had the same COVID. They were not that tired, of course, because they are young and they got over it much sooner, even when we have had the vaccination, and they have had few vaccinations, but not all of them. But anyway, we felt that we were quite tired when we left, and we needed to get as much sleep as we possibly could and rest. And I think that that's the best thing when you travel somewhere, that you can sleep in and not have a sleep deprivation all the time, and you can have prepared meals like breakfasts and dinners and lunches, and you can be outside. For me, being able to be outside most of the day and have the sunlight in my eyes and the warmth of the sun in my skin, it's a big thing. I have a seasonal depression, so I get depressed every autumn. I didn't think much of it until my husband started to say that, okay, you're depressed now and you were depressed exactly the same time a year ago. So this is some kind of pattern. So I have to admit, yes, it is. But of course, I'm much more energetic in the spring and summertime. But unfortunately, my work is the busiest in the spring. So I always feel that I can only watch the spring from the window, and when I wake up, it's middle of June, and I have to start to prepare to go on a holiday, and the spring just goes past me. I can only look at them from the window. I cannot be a part of it, and that's dull. And that's a part why we thought that we'd take a trip now in March to get a glimpse of spring already. But of course, the big part of this trip was the fact that we turned 50, both of us. And like always, when we travel somewhere, we spend our time together, like all the time. And we talk. And it usually always goes gradually, so we start from somewhere and then we end up in something else during that week, if we travel for a week. But of course, now that we turned 50, we thought what we have accomplished so far and what do we want to do for the next 50 years. It's strange that you think that you're old at 50, but really, I have been living with my parents for the first almost 20 years, and for the first 10 years I was a child, so I couldn't decide for myself in anything. And that is strange. But they have had a great influence on me on the first 20 years, and then the next 30 years I've lived on my own or with family or with somebody. So I have been on my own for 30 years from that 50 and shaped to the person that I am. And there are very different stages of life when you are children or a child, when you're young and you study, and then you go to work, and then maybe have children, and then children take over. They really do when they are small. Then your whole world evolves around them. And then they are growing up, and it's very different kind of caring that they need. I feel that right now the thing that they want from me the most is time to discuss with them whenever they want and whenever something bothers them. So in these last weeks or something, we have been talking about studying, and I have of course told them that they can study whatever they want to, but it would be great if they would find their field, something that they're genuinely interested in, and would study that. But I don't want to go there now. Of course, it's another topic already, but well, this is the stage of life that we are in. We are just the talking parents and supporting parents, but we are not taking care of parents. But I don't feel that, even though I'm 50, that I'm very old, or that of course I'm closer to death, but I don't feel that I'm close to death. I have my health issues, but they are under control now. I'm feeling better than I was, let's say, a year or 2 years ago. And it's an issue that I deal with great practicality. If I have some concern, I want to find a doctor who takes care of it, and then I'm wiser when I take the medication that I'm given and take care of myself. And then I can live healthier longer. And I don't think much about that. Or I think, but I don't worry about it that much. But now when we were in Barcelona, then we started to think about what we want to do for the next 50 years. What are the things that we want to change? And we both thought that the toll that our work it takes from us, it's a maybe too much. That we have to be able to manage it better and do the things that we really want to do. Because we both feel that we have gifts and abilities that we have not used until this point. And of course, one thing is this channel is for me. I like to learn new things, and this is a whole new world for me with the technology and with every, the stuff that is required to make this kind of videos and to be able to make them in a way that they are visible and heardable. It takes time and skill and error and effort. But that's the thing that I have to learn, or I have tried to learn. But the major thing is that I have a feeling that I have a lot to give, that I have a ability to console people, that I have a, wisdom. And I have the notion that people need some kind of compassion and somebody to listen to and somebody to ask to. And that's something that I want to embrace, and that's the gift that I want to use to benefit you, to benefit others, and to give myself the, I don't know how to say it, benefit is the wrong word, but to give me the opportunity to hear from other people and to get the blessing of the knowledge of helping others. That's maybe the thing. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't have many plans for it. I just try and see what happens. Because if you never try, you cannot succeed. And I have the feeling that I have to open doors for the future, open doors to new possibilities, open doors to new persons, and give back to community, to the larger community, what God has given me. And that was one thing that I want to do in the next 50 years. And I start now. My husband has his gifts and abilities that he hasn't been able to use as much as he wants to. He writes stories. He has stories in his head and ideas, but he has never had the opportunity to write them down in the perfection that he wants to. Of course, when I read them, I think that they are quite perfect, but he doesn't agree. And of course, it's his privilege to think and to write them all over again until he's happy. But that's something that we want to do. I want to give him the opportunity to take the time to write his stories and to perfect them and see what happens. I have a great belief in that. I have written stories, but I write so much in my work that it consumes very much of me. And that's why I gave it a pause. But if I have sometimes in the future a possibility to write again, spend days writing, I probably will. because I know how it feels to have stories in your head. I have that kind of moments that there is a, for example, when I sit down in a cafe in Barcelona or to the church front, I can start to imagine what have happened there like hundreds of years ago, and the story just starts and I can watch it like a movie. And it's great fun. But I could maybe write it down someday, somewhere. But those were the things that we talked about, and the possibility maybe in the future to live in different parts of Europe, at least part of the year. The part that is very dark in here and very cold. And I know it sounds funny, and I don't know, do you feel it too, or do you experience it too, but somehow the thought about not things ending when you turn 50, but things starting and doors opening was somehow very moving. I found myself and my husband crying in the center of the cafe, which was, of course, a little bit odd, but Spanish are a bit more dramatic and emotional in the usual settings than us, so it didn't make much of a difference. But it felt good. We don't have to try to be something that we are not. We can be who we are, and with each other. And of course, in that moment or that place that we were, the most important as for both of us were that we are together, that finally we have each other, we have somebody that understands us, and somebody who cares for us, and somebody who says, if you want to do it, go for it. I will back you up and I will help you the best ability that I can. And we don't count for each other's blessings. We just want each other to be happy, and together we are stronger than we would be in part. And that's something that happens when you really think about things and really talk about things. And like I said, the discussion evolved. We started from small things, because when you are in your everyday life, you usually can't take those times or just sit and talk for 2 or 3 hours or for a whole day. There is always things to do. You have to go to sleep now, and then we have our own routines, and then there is somebody that comes asking something, and phone rings and things like that. But when we are together, just two of us in some remote place or in some other place than home, then we have the possibility to start talking now. And when we get to some point, like we basically started, we started to count our blessings. We started to think about what we have accomplished. And then in the end of the week, we had a plan for next 50 years. We have these markings that we want to do. And we don't want to do more work or more money or accomplish something like maybe a career-wise. Not a bigger house, not a bigger car. At this point, we can't have another children or more children. But it was more like, what do I feel and what do you feel, and what are the things that we want to still do to be like fuller, like spiritually accomplish something. That when the next 50 years is up, then we can think that there are no regrets, that we have done everything we wanted and we have tried. Even if I don't succeed in anything, I'm happier that I have tried than not to do anything. And even if we didn't leave to Barcelona to plan our lives or to assess our situations when we turn 50, or to get some kind of madness because we are old, it turned out to be not just a nice vacation, not just a break from the everyday life, but a week full of gratitude, hope, and plans, and creating the bond between us again and again. So that was my week. How was yours? If you want to ask anything, please comment down below. I will answer. Of course, I like traveling wise. I have a little bit of regrets that I didn't film anything or didn't take even pictures, just a few from Barcelona. But in the future I will tell you where I am and what I do and what's the fun part in that place. But I hope that you had a great week and that you have a nice day from now. I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.